If you're visiting Mexico as a tourist, there's one key document you cannot skip: the FFM tourist permit, or Forma Migratoria Múltiple. Today, we're breaking down everything you need to know about getting and using this essential permit for your Mexico getaway. Whether you're driving to Tijuana, flying to Cancun, or sailing to La Paz, this guide will save you time and hassle. So let's get started. So what is the FMM? You're going to hear this term a lot. It's Mexico's official visitor card, required for most foreign tourists entering the country for tourism, business, or short-term visits. Think of it as your personal entry pass, proving you're legally in Mexico for up to 180 days, about 6 months. The FMM applies whether you're entering by air, land, or sea, and it's mandatory for anyone staying beyond Mexico's border zone, which is roughly 20 to 30 kilometers from the US border, or for trips longer than 72 hours in some areas. Without an FMM, you could face fines, delays, or even deportation when leaving Mexico. It's issued by Mexico's National Immigration Institute, or INM, and it's super important for keeping your trip stress-free. So, who needs an FMM? If you're a foreign visitor from countries like the US, Canada, the EU, Australia, or many others, and you're entering Mexico for tourism, business, or unpaid activities, this permit is for you. There are a few exceptions. If you're just popping into the border zone, like Tijuana or Mexicali, for less than 72 hours, you might not need one, but rules vary by crossing. For example, Baja's border zone extends about 20 kilometers south. So if you're going further, like to Ensenada, you need an FMM. Children need their own FMM too, even if they're traveling with parents. If you're a temporary or permanent resident of Mexico, you won't need an FMM, but you'll show your resident card instead. When in doubt, get the permit. It's better to be safe than stuck at a checkpoint. And by the way, if you'd like to get residency in Mexico, temporary or permanent residency, or maybe Mexican citizenship by descent because you have parents or grandparents born in Mexico, MyLatinLife, we're a full-scale immigration consultancy, and we can help get you that Mexico residency or citizenship in your hands. So there's a link in the description where you can book a call with us, and we can answer all your questions specific to you and get you that Mexico residency or citizenship. Anyway, back to the video, and let's dive into how to get your FMM, which is basically your tourist visa, right? The process depends on how you're entering Mexico, but it's pretty simple if you're prepared. Here's the breakdown. If you're flying into Mexico, the process is a breeze. Most airlines include the FMM fee in your ticket price, and they'll hand you the form to fill out during the flight. So if you've ever been on a flight and they're handing out those forms, anybody got a pen? Anybody got a pen? You'll need your passport number, travel dates, address of where you're staying, like your hotel or Airbnb. That's where you're filling out. That is the FMM. And if you remember, they actually they kind of rip it in half, and they take the 2/3 and they give you 1/3 of it. And then the idea is that you hold on to it. So rewinding a bit, they'll stamp it, keep one part, give you the other. Hang on to that piece. It's your proof of legal entry into Mexico, and you'll need it when you leave Mexico. If you're entering by land, like driving or walking across the US-Mexico border, you'll need to get the FMM yourself. Stop at the immigration office, usually right at the border crossing, okay? Bring your passport, fill out the FMM form, which asks for your name, nationality, purpose of visit, and length of stay, up to 180 days. The cost is around 700 pesos, roughly 30-40 US dollars. but it's free if you're staying 7 days or less, or visiting certain border areas like Baja. You can pay in pesos or dollars, and some offices accept cards. But bring cash just in case. Seriously, in Mexico, you always want to have cash. The officer will stamp your FMM and passport, and you'll keep the FMM for your exit. If you're arriving by sea, like on a cruise or private boat, you'll get your FMM at your first Mexican port, like Ensenada or Mazatlan. Visit the port's immigration office with your passport, fill out the form, and pay the fee if it applies. For boaters, the FMM is extra important because port captains often check it alongside your temporary import permit for the vessel. And by the way, if you're curious about temporary import permits for cars or boats, we have videos about both on this channel. So subscribe to MyLatinLife, check out our archive of videos. We have so many videos on everything about Mexico for expats and everybody. So you can apply for the FMM online as well before your trip through the INM's website. This is great for land travelers or boaters who want to save time at the border. Complete the form, print the FMM, and bring it to the border or port for stamping within 30 days. The online option doesn't always save you from visiting the immigration desk, but it does speed things up. Pro tip, have your passport, travel plans, and Mexico address ready, and keep copies of your FMM and passport on your phone or in your bag. Timing and location are key. At airports, you'll handle the FMM during immigration. Major hubs like Mexico City, Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, they're open 24/7. At land borders, it's not necessarily 24/7. Immigration offices have specific hours, okay? It might be Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday might be limited hours if it's open at all. So these are things to keep in mind. For sea arrivals, port immigration offices like La Paz, they might run every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Or they might have different hours on different days. So always check hours for smaller ports like Ensenada, as they can vary. Borders and ports do get busy on the other hand, so arrive early to avoid lines. Let's talk rules to keep your trip smooth. First, keep your FMM safe. You'll need to show it when leaving Mexico, whether at an airport, border, or port. If you lose it, visit an INM office or airport immigration desk to get a replacement, but expect a fine of around 500 pesos and some paperwork. Second, don't overstay your 180-day limit. If you do, you could face fines starting at 1,500 pesos or complications when exiting, like being flagged for immigration violations. Third, the FMM is for tourism, business meetings, or unpaid activities, not for working or studying. If you plan to work, you'll need a different visa. And by the way, MyLatinLife, we can help with all those visas that you need: student visas, work visas, residency visas, self-sufficient visas, investment, etc. Another note, if you're driving or boating, expect checkpoints in places like Baja or mainland Mexico on the highway where officials may ask for your FMM and passport. Finally, when you leave Mexico, surrender your FMM to immigration. If you're flying, the airline might collect it. If you're driving, stop at the border's INM office. Failure to turn it in can cause issues on your next visit. Want to make the FMM process effortless? Here are some insider tips. First, fill out the online FMM form before land or sea trips to cut down on border wait times. Just don't forget to get it stamped. Second, always carry your FMM and passport, or at least a copy, especially in places like Baja where checkpoints are common. Third, double check your FMM's details like your name and exit date before leaving the immigration desk. Mistakes can cause headaches later. Believe me. Fourth, join travel forums. MyLatinLife, we have Telegram groups dedicated to Mexico that you can join. Fifth, if you're staying in Mexico for multiple trips, track your FMM's 180-day limit to avoid overstaying. Finally, keep up with INM rules. Fees and policies can change, so check the official INM website or ask at a Mexican consulate before you go. And that's it, travelers. With your FMM tourist permit in hand, you're ready to explore Mexico's vibrant markets, ancient ruins, and turquoise shores without problem. Grab your permit online, at the border, or when you land, and dive into your Mexican adventure. If you've been to Mexico before, like most people have, share your FMM tips or travel stories in the comments. We'd love to hear from your experiences. If this guide helped, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for more travel hacks, especially in Mexico. See you in the next video.